John Joseph Gotti Jr., better known as the Teflon Don, is remembered as one of the most infamous mafiosos of all time. A proud Italian-American, Gotti was raised in a Roman Catholic household, yet little is known about his personal religious beliefs, or if he had any at all. Given his life of crime, it's not hard to imagine that Gotti wasn't exactly a devout follower of the church. But the question remains, did John Gotti believe in God? If so, how did he reconcile his faith with his life in the mafia? And in his final days, as he faced death from cancer in 2002, did he seek forgiveness or try to make amends for his sins? One person who might hold the answers to those questions is Gotti's son, John A. Gotti. In his 2015 autobiography, Shadow of My Father, he reflected on his father's faith, or lack thereof. My father committed many sins, but in the end, he was unapologetic, defiant to his last breath. He went out handcuffed to a bed, waving away the priest and choking on his own vomit and blood. That's what his death certificate says. Choked to death, asphyxiated. His bones were rotted around his neck from cancer and the decade he spent in the hole. Many of our leaders start wars all over the world. They commit random acts of wholesale slaughter and never pay for their sins. In the end, my father paid for his. He paid the highest price, and he didn't apologize. He went out like a man. To the very end, John Gotti remained true to the life. Even on his deathbed, in the presence of a priest, he refused to repent. He died as he lived, a defiant gangster. Gotti's defiance extended even to God himself, particularly after the tragic death of his youngest son, Frankie, in 1980. At Frankies Funeral, Gotti carried himself like a stoic soldier, ensuring every detail was perfect for his son's farewell, right down to how his hair looked in the casket. At one point during the wake, mobster Angelo Ruggiero reportedly tried to offer comfort, saying, "Who knows why God does these things?" Gotti snapped back, "Don't you ever say that again. There ain't no God. My son doesn't even have hair on his prick yet, and he's lying dead here." Even after Gotti's own death, his strained relationship with religion followed him. The Brooklyn diocese denied him a Catholic Mass, although he was allowed burial at St. John's Cemetery in Queens, where his son Frankie also rests. That said, Gotti did show respect for religious traditions throughout his life. He often attended church ceremonies like weddings and wakes, maintaining a respectful demeanor despite his apparent lack of personal faith. All of this insight comes from John A. Gotti's Shadow of My Father. It's a fascinating book filled with quotes and stories about the trials and tribulations of the Gotti family. If you're interested in the personal side of the mob, it's worth a read. I'll be referring to this book in future videos, so stay tuned for more. Thanks for listening.